just picked stuff in the garden to show a few more things that we haven't seen, so I can share maybe a few ideas that nobody or not many have probably considered yet, or that we weren't able to, talk about. And then you can sort of do a run of the movie afterwards.
Sure. I've got some that I've got from the garden as well, so we can go through that. And I've got a little experiment going on with some broad beans and parsnips and carrots. Nice. So, Ellen, do you want to kick off then? Can you tilt your screen so if people want to see it closer up, you can go on to speaker view. So whoever's speaking at that time comes bigger on your frame, so it's up on the top.
So one thing that I'm trying, so this is the perilla, the shiso, and the birds are really, really after the seeds. And the seeds are so small and they really want to fall out. It's like no use for me trying to get a seed from every little flower here. So what I'm doing now is I choose the branches that I like, that have lots of seed pods, and I just on the plant put some of my little bird netting bags around. You could use a paper bag if it's not raining, and so the seeds actually fall in here. And so this way the birds don't get all of them, because wherever I don't do this, the birds love the perilla seed. So that's a way to save the seeds. And you can do the same with amaranth, because amaranth, well, this would be too big for amaranth, this netting. I would use the little organza bags that are complete tightly woven fabric. And that way you can just really get the seeds. So I thought, yeah. And if you are just after seeds for planting, then 2 or 3 of these bags would be really good enough. So you get another, 30 seeds for next year. These seeds, I've once eaten a Burmese dish with these seeds crushed. And I think, Dai, you using some of these for Japanese cooking?
Not the seeds, but the
leaves.
The leaves.
Okay, yeah.
So
the Burmese
use a lot.
The Burmese use these seeds for cooking, but like lots of it. So I'm trying to save a bit more to make at least one dish and have some for sowing. With amaranth, once you see that the birds go for it, that's a good sign. When you see sparrows fly off the amaranth, you can cut the branches and put them upside down in a bag, and make sure it's a bag that allows for air ventilation, because otherwise it'll mold. And then I just shake and shake every once in a while, and then the amaranth and the red fluff falls down, and then it's the winnowing sort of that Sue showed us. I just let it fall down when it's a bit windy, and the red fluff just goes away. And to be honest, the rest of the fluff I'll just eat, because I think it's fiber.
Mm. Mm. So the amaranth at the garden is in various stages of, some are turning brown. Is that a good time? Does it lose its color before you save the seed?
It does start to look a bit weathered. And what you can do is you can just put your hand underneath one of the things and shake and just see the tiny, tiny, tiny seeds. What we would maybe want to use the seeds for is actually not for seed consumption, but amaranth is a very fast growing vegetable that you can harvest and use like spinach when it's about, 20 centimeters. Mm-hmm. So it could be bulk sown, and then just cut and use like spinach. That's what I would like to try this year, because again, the Burmese love it.
Mm. We can also just eat the seeds, can't we?
Yeah, but
and stuff.
You can. The seeds from this variety are so tiny. They're even tinier than poppy seeds. So I'm not 100% sure how much you would get out of it, but sure, they're a nutritious seed. I don't know whether you could pop them or just grind them or just even soak them and eat them like that. I've taken, there's a huge plant there. Last year, I've taken a huge plant like that, and all I ended up with was like, a handful of seeds, even from a huge plant. This is thousands of seeds, but it's not a big volume
to eat.
So the big bang would probably be in eating the young plants. One thing I thought I'll talk about is the beans. We talked about it yesterday with Ange and Bex. These are the lab beans. And beans actually have 3 eating stages. They're the normal green bean. This is a little bit too far. You shouldn't see for the normal, what they call snap bean. You shouldn't be able to see the seeds. So this is probably a few days too old. But I just thought, this one would be a shelling bean. So this, you wouldn't eat it like this. It would be horrible. But you can shell it like broad beans. And then these are good eating size beans. And then you have the dried, this is not a, where's my other one? This is a dried lab bean. So these seeds you would take out when they're really dry like that. Actually, they should even rattle a little bit or be very hard. And that you can take out the seed and just eat it seeds. So these beans actually have really good value in 3 stages. The young ones, snap beans or peas. The medium-aged ones, shelling beans. And then the old ones as dry pulses or seed beans. So for the future, I would recommend I harvested this. We often see beans like this harvested and then nobody really wants them because they're not good eating like this anymore, but they're also not yet dry. So in the future, we should either leave them to become dry, or you just use them as shelling beans to make the most of them, because they wouldn't be very nice to eat at this stage. The outside would be too tough, but they're always good as an eating bean, as a shelled. What else have I got? Did you see the little riddle, some of you? Do you know what this is?
Carrot.
Is it lettuce? No.
Carrot.
No,
And I've heard one suggestion.
it's not lettuce.
Dill, is it?
It's one of the Umbelliferae family.
And
and
that's a good classification.
It could be a carrot or something. So my carrots look like that.
Well, that's probably because it is. This is lettuce. Someone said lettuce. So lettuce have actually, apart from the endive, they have actually the dandelion fluff that flies around. So that's why, this is Umbelliferae, like I said, and they look like little amoebas, eh? Those single seeds. They're full of this fluff, and the sense of that fluff, or that the little tendrils. And if you walk through where there's carrots seeds, they really stick very well to your clothes, which is, the way that they get distributed on animal fur. So one carrot has about 15 to 20 of these umbrellas. one single carrot. And you can see there's, I don't know, I wouldn't want to count them, but I'd say that's probably the best part of 300 seeds. So times that by 20, and one carrot can give you 3, 4, 5, 6,000 seeds.
Yeah.
And it also means that one carrot had 3, 4, 5,000 flowers, tiny little flowers. So if you don't have a lot of space in your garden, just let a few carrots go to seed, and you'll be doing more for pollinating insects than with all the, you know, packs of wildflower seeds that you can buy for a lot of money. I'm not saying you shouldn't plant wildflowers, but I'm saying this is a great contribution that you can make by just not pulling all carrots but leaving 1 or 2.
Mm.
And then the last one I have is the fennel. So there's 2 stages of the fennel when you want to harvest, depending on for what. This is fairly green, so it's, if you eat this, it's quite pungent. So this would be really fennelly. This would be a really good stage to dehydrate it completely and then put it in your cupboard for tea, a soothing tea for tummy aches.
Yes.
But this wouldn't be viable for planting. So they need to go to sort of this color before they're ripe for planting and for keeping. But for medicinal purpose, for tea, this stage, but dehydrated. So yeah, I think that's me. The only thing I have here still is, what's this? Anybody?
Beetroot?
Good guess. It's cousin.
Silver beet or spinach?
Yeah,
Silver beet.
it's silver beet. Yeah, that's from the homestead, Ellie. The dark red one. So it's really important that with seeds that can be mistaken, that we actually really label it. We've got at the moment we have a bit of a problem identifying some of the seeds that were winnowed but not labeled, because a cabbage and a broccoli seed, there's no way, well, I have no way of distinguishing what's what, because they're the same family and they just all look the same. So one helpful thing is either to at least leave some of the seed capsules in there, which gives a bit of a hint sometimes. Yeah, or best would be to label it straight away. Yep, that's me.
Can I just ask you, Ellen, the lava beans, you just,
Yeah.
when they're dry like that, you just soak them like you would another bean.
Lentils or beans, or
like
yeah.
for 4 hours or 8 hours or something, and then
Yep.
cook them.
Overnight, I
Overnight.
recommend, because that's the least worry for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Does anyone remember putting something that looks like rocket seeds in the Kai shed for saving?
No.
Okay, that's okay. On that note, I just had a look around at what I'd saved over the summer, and I thought this was quite cool. I had some. Can you see me? Can everyone hear me?
I can see and hear you.
Okay, cool. So I had these beautiful peony
Poppies
that Bex and Jack gave us at the beginning of summer, and they were really nice flowers, so I decided to save the seeds for next year. And these are the ones I saved over the summer. And then I had one left just to leave it. And can you see the difference between this one and the others? See the holes at the top where the seeds are really, really ready now, whereas these capsules, the seeds don't come out when you turn it upside down. And then these ones here, I turned upside down and put them in a plastic bag. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And look at the seeds, they just fell out when
Yeah.
I turned them upside down in that plastic bag. And then I'm going to, these are the ones that I'll keep for planting, because the other ones might be immature still. And so those ones I can, in that plastic bag, I can put them in the freezer for a few days, and that'll kill off any spores or fungus or anything like that. And then, you know, they're ready to store, maybe with a bit of silica in there or something like that, until next spring. So if anyone wants some peonies, there's probably about 500 seeds that just came out of those three. But I thought that was really cool with the see how it's
Yeah.
the holes. This one's not ready for the seeds to come out yet, and then it grew a bit more, even though it looks like it's dead and finished. It was worth waiting for.
Well done.
I've done the same, and I saved some of the poppies as well, and they were all pretty dry. I didn't notice the holes in the top, but they, some, I just crushed some with my thumb, and some had no seeds, like the seeds had just kind of gone to complete dust, even though they are fine. And others were jam-packed, so it was sort of pod to pod. You know, some were good and some are just sort of dissolved. So it probably was the timing of when I picked them off.
Yeah, 'cause look at that on that tray there. I don't know if you can see that, but as I shake it, it just comes out on the bottom.
Mm.
It was quite cool. I was showing my daughter this morning.
So what you do with those seeds, you put them in a little pillow, put them under the pillow, put them in a little pillowcase, put them under the pillow of your daughters. Or that's an old recipe
Oh,
for
what
getting
does that do? They
getting
dream about
children
something.
to sleep.
Oh,
You know,
Okay.
narcotics.
yeah. It'll be interesting to see if I open one that, I mean, I can hear that it's full of seeds. It'll be interesting to do a little experiment and see which ones are viable, if these are both lots are viable or not.
Ellen, are you serious that that's a sleep? That's a good.
Yep, that was a traditional.
Because my family has insomnia.
Yeah, that was well, you know, it's a narcotic, but that's a traditional thing. I don't know how well it helps or not, but that was a traditional thing in Europe, probably, certainly in Germany, to put a little pillow, a little sachet with poppy.
Just ordinary
under.
poppy.
I wouldn't recommend it. I was just having Ange on, but yeah, that was what people did in the past.
Because everyone's trying the very expensive TLC, aren't they?
Yeah. Now you could see if you could get some hops flowers. Hops is good for sleeping.
I waved these around before. Does anyone know what they are?
Violet cloves.
Garlic.
No, it's the seed from Cassini Roa, which is the most delicious fruit.
Yeah.
So we've got 2, 4, 6, 7 seeds. So I believe they're very enormous trees.
They are.
They are so delicious. Anybody got a lot of space?
Oh,
No,
no.
you can sometimes the sanctuary, they have 2 big trees. They sell them at the Greyland Farmers Market. Actually quite cheap. I think a kilo for $6.
Wow.
No, you need an enormous. I've got one planted and I'm looking at cutting it out because I think that the soil in the Chook Run is too fertile. So the tree just grows about 2 meters every year, and I just constantly have to cut it down.
And it doesn't fruit.
We had one fruit. The tree is about 12 years old, so it's in for a chop this winter.
It's in for a chop.
Yeah, a complete take it out chop.
So on that note of garlic, this is, Ellen had given me this story. So I'd just like a bit of advice on timing. So you can see that they're sprouting up the top there.
Slowly, yeah.
And
Right.
what's the best procedure from here, Ellen?
Well, getting locked down over. We need a very fertile bed, so lots of compost in a bed, and planting them basically from, you could do from in mid-May. So they should hopefully be, you know, growing slowly in your fridge, but hopefully not too fast, because it's maybe another month, which hopefully allows us to prep a bed for them.
Okay. And the other thing.
What's a good source of the bulbs?
What's that?
Well, I bought them in January at the Wesley Market for some of the growers there grow their own. So they're not organic, but many of the growers are now telling us, you know, that they're doing as spray-free as they can manage. But from now on, from once we have them, they will be as organic as we can do. But it's probably, I looked online on TradeMe the other day, and on TradeMe you'll find a kilo of small bulbs for about $30 plus $10 shipping, medium size maybe 35, and large cloves bulbs for just $40 plus shipping. So it is quite an expensive crop. So that's why I think I bought, there was about a kilo that I had bought that was much cheaper. I think I only paid $12 or $13 a kilo at the market. And Bex has got a good kilo there, I think, that we hopefully we're a bit more successful this time round. We've not had many good successes in the past.
Mainly rusto.
So that's where we probably have to work really well together and try and use Daniel's step 2, 3, and 4 as much as we can and as regular. And you know, I'm not the best with keeping up regular, so we need to do that all together and remind each other, oh, have we done step 3 today? Have we done step 4? You know, the week after.
So the other one is tomatillo that I've picked up from the garden. So I've got a range of, they're mostly still quite green though. Should I do the picking out, wiping on paper towel of these?
Let me talk amongst yourselves. I'll go in the garage and get something that I'll show you in regards to that.
Okay. The other thing I've got going is I did a seed inventory of what we had at the garden. So I'm not going to hold this up because it's in a little thing of water. But the broad beans that were only from last season's harvest were really shriveled and sort of had dark patches on them. And I asked Ellen, you know, are they still viable? And she said, well, just soak them and see. So that's his little shoot coming through, and that's just a couple of days of soaking. So we've got a good supply of broad beans
Cool.
from last season. The other little thing I'm doing is saw it on a YouTube thing. Don't know if it's going to work, but these are I'm so proud. These are my own carrots and parsnips. So previously I'd just been pulling them and they were tiny little babies, which were sweet and delicious, but I just didn't get the girth going on. They were just really small. So these are, I've just put them in a little tray of water, and that's 2 days old, and the little heads are coming up through here. So, but I couldn't find any decent information on whether it's actually going to grow the vegetable or it's just going to get the leaf. Do you know, Ellen, or anyone else?
Apparently it grows the vegetable. I've never had luck with it, but then I'm really happy if it grows the leaf again, because I just like the leaves. Not with the parsnips. I've never had it been successful with carrots, so I'd be very interested if you get it to grow. It works with onions.
Lola's been doing this with a cabbage.
Oh.
Hi, Lola.
So if I help, do you want to talk about what you did, Lola?
Well, I actually read the idea.
No, come here. Don't worry about it.
It was the Zero Waste Cookbook, and it showed me that if you like cut off a cabbage or lettuce, or there was something else, I can't remember what it was, and put the end in some water, it would grow again. That's exactly what I've done with Mum's cabbage.
It's got roots.
Yeah, and it's throwing some things on the top, and yeah, it does actually need a water change because it's getting a bit slimy. And yeah, so you put it in like a bit of warm water, just enough so that it should float, and then you put it in a really sunny place, even though Mum did not put it in a sunny place. She put it in a very shady place, which I have already asked her about. I told her off for putting it in a shady place when the instruction says to put it in a sunny place. So
Well done, Lola.
Tell her.
put it back in a sunnier place.
Well done. Thanks. Can you show Lola again what you've done? Can you show us that again, please?
Carrots.
Yeah.
So these are
Wow.
carrots and parsnips, similar technique, but these are from our garden, and they're just getting a little.
Is there a root?
Sprout. No roots yet. These are 2 days. How long's yours been there?
A couple of weeks, I
A
think.
week. Yeah.
Okay.
You might need to float it to get. Might need to be floating to get roots going.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm wondering with, if you reproduce cacti from a leaf, you're supposed to and also if you cut potatoes into multiple spaces for, having 1 or 2 eyes only on each piece, you're supposed to leave it dry for a day or 2, because then it seals itself and then it does not rot. So I'm wondering whether it would nice one.
Steaming. If you were all
What a show.
making
us hungry.
some hot butter and apricot.
That's a loaf of bread.
Did you see that?
Whoa, beautiful.
So that's from Steve the starter. If anyone wants a bit of Steve, I'll grow them up. Once I get some more white flour, I can spread them around a bit more liberally.
I've got spare Steve as well at the moment. Our fridge broke down, so we've been actually trying to eat up all the frozen bread that we've got in the freezer from all the spares that we take home.
So what did you go and get from your garage, Ellen?
All right. So I've had this new variety this year.
Tomatillo.
And Ricky and I made a taste test. I made 2 salsas from, you know, halving them, grilling them, and then made two salsas the same way. And we both, in a blind taste test, found that these were actually even better than the other ones. They're not as tart, so you know I can even eat them like this. But I wanted to show you this because this is almost like its own little paper bag. So I find these occasionally under the tomatillo when I overlook. The tomatillo, and I'll just open it now. The tomatillo has basically completely rotted down, and where's that camera? And what's left, can you see the seeds?
Yep.
And the husk has basically also rotted down, but the veins of the husk remain intact. So some of the ones, not the ones that I just quickly went through, the seeds after a while, when that last bit is rotting away, they actually rattle in there. So if you have one that is very ripe, that's a good way. The Cape gooseberries behave like that too. Now the tomatillos that we have in the garden, they actually outgrow their husks. So that's, yeah, the ones that you have, Bex, they won't be able to do that. That's more when the size of the tomatillo doesn't rip the husk open. But that's a good way to save seeds conveniently. I didn't have to do anything. Now, if they're not so ripe, you don't worry, I've got enough seeds. So if the ones that you picked, you can just eat them. I've got enough seeds for next year of this and the other type.
Okay, great.
And one tip for you, Ellie, I've made a salsa the other day. I smoked half of the tomatillos and then used the smoked ones half.
Everyone's using Zoom now. Come and have a quick look, please. And you can do that anytime.
Sandy.
Hello.
Okay, thanks for that, Ellen. Oh, am I muted? No, and there doesn't seem to be the abundance of tomatillos this year, does there?
At the garden?
No, I don't think so. Are there? I haven't looked thoroughly.
There are lots there now.
Are they? Right
Yep.
now. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, well,
You might have to look very closely, Ellie, because they were a little bit overgrown by some of that butternut pumpkin. So if you look closely, I believe there should be a few plants that have got a good crop. So one way to share that smoke is if you get a big patch and smoke a big patch, I might have a bit of freezer space and then freeze it. And once we're out of lockdown, we can share a bit of the smoked ones around, because you don't, if they're smoked very well, you don't need too many to add into non-smoked, and it gives a really lovely flavor to the salsa.
Okay, that's a good idea. So you smoke them till they're quite dry, like the chipotle?
No, not dry.
No.
So I don't dehydrate them afterwards. I just smoke them very well.
Just
they
to
do
get the
shrivel
flavor.
up.
Righto. Okay, we'll do that.
And then I would actually not dehydrate them, but just freeze them in little portions.
Yeah. Right, that'll be my project.
There you go.
Keep you busy. And Graham too.
So did anyone have any particular questions of what's happening in their garden, either in relation to seed saving or other questions that we could See if we can.
I've got one. End of passion fruit season. I'm never quite sure what you do. I guess I could look online, but there might be some experts here. You know how the leaves drop off and they dry up quite a bit. Would you chop them back? Leave them or do anything?
You do.
Okay.
I think you prune them quite hard.
Okay.
But they are the sort of thing that keel over quite quick. You know, they don't last many years.
No. So prune it reasonably hard.
Check the brown leaves. I mean, I haven't grown any passion fruit this year. They had all done their thing last year, and I hadn't noticed early enough. Whenever they start to lose leaves, I actually take the leaves, and you know, because they're crunched like that, I open them, and usually that's where you see all the passion fruit hopper babies. So check all your fallen leaves, because if there's still colonies of them, just burn them or drown them.
Okay. They didn't seem to be a problem this year, which was wonderful.
Well, they were certainly in terms of, you know, the bees.
I've got a couple of questions. Sorry if that's okay. I've got a lot of aphids all over my broccoli, which I've been letting go to seed. Should I just get rid of the broccoli because they're not? They're a nuisance.
Aphids or whitefly?
Whiteflies look like aphids, but when I sort of go near, they're all flying around.
Yeah, that's whiteflies, cabbage whitefly. If it wasn't,
I thought whitefly was like that butterfly in that, you know, the white.
No, that's the white butterfly.
Okay,
that's the white cabbage butterfly. If we weren't in a drought, I would say first thing I would do is take the hose and squirt them off. But Ricky said this morning the only reason why council hasn't declared an emergency is the hand washing. COVID is more important. But yeah, so another thing would be to just mix some. Have you got a spray bottle, Sandy?
yes.
Take some water, a little bit of dishwashing liquid.
Yeah.
And if you have some essential oils like tea tree oil, or you could boil a bit of chili. Hasn't helped me often, but you could give it a go. And just squirt on them.
Okay, thank you.
I find that what I've done is I've got some little gailan growing outside our front door, and they get those whitefly on it, and I find that I can just kill them with my fingers, but they're pretty convenient. They're up sort of at waist height, so it's pretty easy to do, and the plants don't seem to be suffering.
Right. There's so many. When I have hosed it a little bit, they're all flying around. So I think the hand thing, I think I will try that. My second question is, I think it's a self-seed.
And Sandy, always a little bit of oil, because that suffocates them and it stops them from flying. But you need a good lot of, you need some dishwashing liquid so it emulsifies, it disperses.
Okay, good. Second question, I've got a self-seeded Feijoa, which I thought great. It was, you know, producing beautiful fruit first time, and of course it's got the guava moss. What should I do? Should I just I know this is probably another question for I haven't Googled, but I'm really disappointed.
So what we do, Sandy, is we cut them open, we cut out the bad stuff. There's still lots to eat in many of our Feijoas, because we have quite big Feijoas. But what's really crucial is to break the cycle. So anything that looks like it could be infected, we put in a little, we put in a bowl with a bit of water and microwave it for a minute. before we put it in the compost. It's really crucial that you don't just compost it, because those things will just thrive in a
very
compost.
persistent little crawler. Yeah, okay. I've just been putting it straight in the rubbish. I've only had a couple, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Microwave, kill lots of bug, and then
yeah, wherever you put it, and the best thing would be a compost. But even if you put it in the landfill, microwave it, because even if it goes in the landfill, there's a chance that maybe by the time they pick up your bin, they've already hatched or they fall. So it's really crucial to kill before you dump, wherever you dump it.
Should I harvest all the fruit now and just get rid of them, and maybe, or that'll stop any, minimize, I don't know where they've come from.
No, because then you can just as well, if you're not eating even the little bits that you can rescue per fruit, then you can basically rip out your tree, because in the foreseeable time that will be a problem. So you have to either adjust yourself of eating only half fruits, just cutting out the bad stuff, or not growing it. I will try next year to try and bag them. The other thing is that many of the tree croppers have observed that the first 10-20% are quite infected, but the last ones are not as badly infected anymore. So there might be a time lag, even though the moth can reproduce throughout the year, unfortunately. There seems still be up and down in populations, and the later the season, the less infected fruit you have. So it's, I mean, feijoas, you never pick them anyway, you pick them up. So I wouldn't pick them all now. I would give them a chance and observe.
Okay.
And like I said, eat the half that is good and microwave the other half. Or if you don't have a microwave, just pour boiling water over it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm heading out now, so thank you very much. That has been really good. Thanks, particularly Sandy and Bex. Yeah.
Thanks, Ellie. Just before, I won't play the other seed saving video. I'll post that at a later date for those who weren't there. But in this time of scarcity and not being able to plant up, we are, some of you already know, but we're doing more growing at home, so that once we can get back to the garden, we've got more to plant in. So if anyone's either got surplus seeds or the capacity to grow some seedlings, maybe just flip me an email, and we've got a bit of a chart going on as to who's doing what, so we can fill some gaps and share seeds around. And if we can't get them into the community garden, surplus can go to each other's gardens. So